Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dakira and I'm a dietitian that helps women to heal from recurring vaginal infections. I myself have healed twice from two separate episodes of 2-year-long recurring vaginal infections, and I also help women to heal from chronic health conditions. And today's video is going to be on the correlation between iron deficiency anemia and vaginal health. So if you like to learn about vaginal health, health in general, health manifestation, and you're more of the spiritual type, you're not really into Western medicine, and you like to learn about all holistic things and woo-woo things when it comes to your health and healing naturally with your mind, then my channel is definitely for you. And I started this iron deficiency anemia series because I was in Europe for 2 months and I traveled home between the 28th and the 30th. So I left the Netherlands on the 28th. I took a bus to France. I was in France for a day and then I had my flight the next day. And the one day that I was in France, I was on the second day of my period. And I woke up at 2 a.m. with really severe cramps I have never in my life ever experienced. It felt like I was literally having a miscarriage or like I was giving birth or something. Like, I don't know. I've never experienced that pain in my life. I had really extreme, because usually when I get my period, the cramps that I usually get would be back cramps. And I was having really severe back cramps, like to the point where I couldn't move. And the pain was radiating down my legs, radiating all throughout my pelvic region. And it hurt the most in my legs and in my tailbone. The pain was really, really bad. And I was feeling really sick. I was taking pain medication. Nothing was working. I was praying throughout the whole thing. I was affirming. I was looking up on Pinterest yoga poses for period pain. I was doing the yoga poses because I thought maybe my blood flow was stuck, because if you have blood stagnation from lack of proper blood flow, that can cause period cramps. So I'm moving around, I'm praying, I'm affirming, I'm listening to my subliminal, and nothing was working. I took ibuprofen. The pain was getting worse. Around 3 a.m. I started throwing up a lot, and then after that the pain just continuously got worse, and then I had to take an Uber to the hospital. They ran some tests. They did an abdominal ultrasound, a CAT scan, and it turned out that my iron was really, really, really low. It was at a 5. And if any of you know about iron levels and your hemoglobin and being iron deficient you know that a 5 is extremely low. It's actually dangerously low to be at a 5. Like, I'm surprised that like nothing else happened to me at that level. But I'm also glad, honestly, of course. But a 5 is dangerously low. And basically, after that, I realized, okay, I need to take better care of, I do take really good care of myself, but I never paid attention to my iron deficiency anemia as much because I dealt with it my whole life and I feel like nothing I did ever worked. So I kind of just I was just affirmed for my iron levels to be normal, but I didn't put much effort into actually healing it because I feel like nothing worked. And if you know law of assumption, manifestation, whatever we assume is going to be true and whatever thought or belief we persist in will harden into fact. So the fact that I had all these years of believing that nothing I do works with my iron, then that belief carried on into my reality, and then everything happened, all of those cascade of events. And now I'm working on changing my beliefs that yes, I do have control over my iron levels because I'm the creator of my reality. I'm the operant power. And if I am above all illness and I believe myself to be God, how can I be dealing with iron deficiency anemia? So I decided to start a whole entire iron deficiency education series because there's a lot of connection between iron deficiency anemia and things that women deal with that people are not talking about. There's a direct correlation between iron deficiency anemia and painful periods. Hence my story. What I ended up dealing with was basically uterine hypoxia, where I basically had no iron stores left. So my uterus had to contract and work extra hard to push my blood out. And that's what caused the really severe period cramps. So there's a direct correlation between your period and also iron deficiency anemia. There's also a correlation between iron deficiency anemia and vaginal health, which my main focus is vaginal health. So this video is about the correlation between iron deficiency anemia and vaginal health. There's a correlation between iron deficiency anemia and your skin health. If you guys can see on my skin, I do deal with hyperpigmentation, and I've dealt with acne and hyperpigmentation for basically my whole entire adult life since I was like 11 or 12. And throughout this time, I was also iron deficient. So the whole time it could have been the fact that my skin never was healing properly because of my iron deficiency anemia. And I never realized that up until recently. So there's so many connections between iron deficiency anemia and the things that women are commonly dealing with that no one's talking about, and they're not being educated on it. And women are feeling lost, stuck, hopeless, suppressed. They don't know their bodies, they don't know how to heal their bodies, and it's simply because of a lack of awareness in regards to education. So this video is going to be on the correlation between iron deficiency anemia and vaginal health. Throughout the week, I'm going to create a video on the correlation between iron deficiency anemia and skin health, iron deficiency anemia and period health, and the list will go on. So that is basically why I'm creating this video. And there are a lot of women, and I look at my notes as I'm talking to you guys, but there are a lot of women who are who are being treated for recurring vaginal infections, but doctors are not assessing their iron levels because they don't know that there's a correlation between it. So they're not being screened for anemia, even though both are deeply connected. So this video is going to be breaking down how low iron impacts vaginal health, immunity, hormones, and your periods, and how to start fixing it. So number one, we know that for iron deficiency anemia, you're usually dealing with low energy levels, but iron isn't just about energy, it's also about immunity. So I always tell people, if you are deficient in any vitamin or mineral, whether that's iron, vitamin D, or whatever, if you're not supplementing that into your diet, you're basically suppressing your own immune system, because we need these vitamins and minerals to live and to survive and to fight off infections. So with iron deficiency anemia, iron supports white blood cell activity. It's your body's infection-fighting army. So low iron weakens your immune response, which makes your body more vulnerable to bacterial vaginosis, yeast infections, UTIs. And without iron, your body cannot produce enough enzymes to repair vaginal tissue or to maintain vaginal mucosal health, including vaginal lining, which means that your vagina can become thinner and weaker over time, which leads to the increased risk for BV, yeast infections, UTIs, and other recurring vaginal infections. When it comes to the correlation between iron and the vaginal microbiome, a healthy vagina means that you have high levels of lactobacilli, that's high levels of protective bacteria. But with iron deficiency disrupts your pH, which then weakens your vaginal lining, which then allows for overgrowth of pathogens like Candida, which causes yeast infections, and Gardnerella, that causes bacterial vaginosis. Iron also plays a role in oxygen delivery. So when you're low in iron and you have low oxygen, this equals low resilience in vaginal tissues. This can lead to vaginal dryness, pain during sex because of the vaginal dryness, etc., etc. Now, periods are both a cause and a symptom of iron deficiency. So people think that when you're iron deficient, it's because of your period, but your period can actually also be a symptom of iron deficiency, like having really bad, heavy, long, painful periods. As you guys know, because my period was really bad because of my iron deficiency. So a heavy bleeding causes iron loss, which we all know already. Iron deficiency will also then lead to heavier, more painful periods because your body has to work harder to release the blood. And your body is going to be releasing a lot more blood as well. So this then leads to more iron loss. So if you can see, it's like a whole entire cycle and connection there. And this cycle makes the vaginal microbiome more susceptible to infections. So many women with chronic vaginal infections also experience fatigue, hair loss, low body temperature, headaches, signs of anemia, but doctors are not connecting the dots. So, and we also know that blood increases your pH. So when you have more blood, your pH is more increased, and that leads to a lot of women getting yeast infections before and after their periods. A lot of people will think it's hormonal based, but a lot of times it's iron deficiency based and no one is talking about it. There's also a direct connection between antibiotics and iron, because antibiotics not only disrupt your microbiome, which at this point we should all know this by now, especially if you've been dealing with recurring vaginal infections. If you don't, there's no shame or anything, but most women that deal with this know this, that Antibiotics, the word antibiotic, antibacteria, it wipes away the bad bacteria, but also wipes away the good bacteria like lactobacilli. And so that in itself will disrupt your vaginal microbiome and cause recurring vaginal infections. But on top of that, antibiotics also blocks iron absorption. So if you're taking antibiotics, not only are you disrupting your vaginal microbiome, but you're also blocking your iron absorption. If your iron absorption is blocked, this is going to cause iron deficiency anemia. Iron deficiency anemia can directly cause you recurring vaginal infections, on top of the antibiotics also causing recurring vaginal infections, because it's wiping away your good bacteria and your bad bacteria, allowing for bad bacteria to overgrow. So with any recurring bacterial vaginal infection, whether that's aerobic vaginitis, bacterial vaginosis, UTIs, whatever that requires antibiotics, it's making it worse, especially when you are also dealing with iron deficiency anemia. And then on top of that, if you have heavy periods, that's even more iron loss. And every day as women, women and men both lose a little bit amount of iron a day due to things like random blood loss or skin shedding, things like that. But women lose a lot of iron on a monthly basis because we lose a little bit amount of iron every single day. And then during our period, once a month, we lose even more iron. So all of this combined, the body and the vagina stay in a constant state of depletion and reinfection. And my first video in this iron education series is on the iron recycling system, which is basically our body's system of reusing and recycling iron. And if our iron recycling system is malfunctioning due to inflammation, chronic stress, chronic disease, or gut inflammation, anything like that, then your body will not be recycling iron as it should, and that will cause iron deficiency anemia. This is why a lot of women who have been anemic all their lives, have been taking iron supplements, eating iron-rich foods, they still stay anemic because the iron recycling system is not working. But doctors don't educate on the iron recycling system. They educate on just giving you an iron pill or telling you to eat more beef and red meat without telling you about the iron recycling system. Because if your iron recycling system is malfunctioning and you're taking iron, it's literally not going to work. Your body's not going to absorb that iron, because we have a hormone called hepcidin that blocks the absorption of iron. And if we have chronic illness, inflammation, gut health issues, then hepcidin basically blocks iron from being absorbed. And if hepcidin is blocking iron from being absorbed and you're taking iron, it's like you're hitting a wall. It's not absorbing anything. And you're continuously staying stuck in being anemic, even though you're taking iron pills, because your iron recycling system is blocked. It's not working, it's malfunctioning. So my first video in this series goes over the entire iron recycling system and how to heal it, the root cause, whatever. So I would go back and watch that video for the basic knowledge of how iron works in the body. But the next point is exactly what I just talked about. It's fixing the roots of iron deficiency anemia, which is the iron recycling system. So supplementing iron alone does not solve anemia long term, because of what I just explained to you guys. You can be taking iron, but if your iron recycling system is stuck, it's malfunctioning, you're always going to continue being anemic. And so the liver, spleen, and the gut must be supported to recycle existing iron properly. So if you have a sluggish liver, a sluggish spleen, or you have some gut dysbiosis, which means that your gut is out of balance, or internal gut bleeding like GI bleeds or anything like that, then you're not going to be recycling your existing iron properly, and that's going to cause your iron recycling system to be sluggish or malfunctioning. Improper cycling equals stored iron that the body cannot use, which showing up on labs shows up as functional deficiency. So again, go back to the video on the iron recycling system. It's going to explain to you guys how iron is stored, how it's recycled, how it's absorbed. But basically, if your system is malfunctioning, you have iron stored in you that your body is not using, because hepcidin is blocking it from being used. So it's really, really, really important that you are aware and knowledgeable on the iron recycling system. When you heal this system, you will have stable energy, better periods, stronger immunity, and fewer infections, vaginal infections, of course. So how do we start healing iron deficiency naturally to help you heal your reoccurring vaginal infection. Number one, of course, always food-based iron sources. So you have heme iron that comes from animals that's more bioavailable and easier on the body to absorb. You have non-heme iron that comes from plants that's not as easily absorbable, but if you combine it with vitamin C, it does help with absorption. So things like sardines, albacore, solid white tuna, mussels, clams, red meats, liver, grass-fed beef steak, duck, just red meats, dark meat like chicken thighs, or like dark poultry, so like chicken thighs or duck. I'm missing, oh, turkey thighs, and then your red meats, those are all, and then what I mentioned before, those are all great sources of heme iron. When it comes to non-heme iron, that's going to come from plants, so like spinach, kale, Swiss chard, beet greens, legumes like lentils, beans, things like that. So with the non-heme iron sources, like the plant sources, you want to always combine them with the vitamin C sources. You also want to avoid eating the plant-based iron sources with things called inhibitors. Inhibitors block iron from being absorbed. So avoid pairing iron with inhibitors such as calcium, or at least high calcium foods, coffee, matcha, black and green tea, like caffeinated tea, chocolate. All of these can block absorption of iron. So what you want to do is, if you want to consume anything that's high in calcium, like any dairy products, if you want to consume coffee, tea, chocolate, you want to have these 2 hours after an iron-rich meal. You don't want to have them with an iron-rich meal, and you don't want to have them with an iron supplement because it's going to block it. So that's why a lot of kids end up being anemic, because they drink a lot of milk and it's blocking their absorption of iron. So it's really, really, really important. And same thing with eating the heme iron, which is the animal iron, just in that meal. You don't want to have any inhibitors. So like a common example that's great would be like steak, that's high in iron. You can have a side of broccoli that's high in vitamin C for absorption. And then you can have, I don't know, a baked potato for your fibrous carbohydrate. But within that meal, let's say your friend bought you a matcha, like you want to have that matcha 2 hours after that meal, not with it. So that's really, really important to know. If you have any gut inflammation, or if you don't know if you even have gut inflammation, I recommend getting a GI map test done. A GI map test is a stool test that basically tests for all of the bacteria in your gut. It tests for fungi, parasites, any viral infections in your gut. It also tests for your pancreatic deficiency, and it tests for inflammation in your gut as well. You would need to see a functional medicine doctor for this, or a functional medicine dietitian. I have a friend named Joanna who does the GI map test. She's a functional medicine dietitian. If you want her information, I'll put it down below. But you're going to want to also fix your gut inflammation and balance copper and zinc. So that's going to require you working with a dietitian that can help you with that. I'm not going to go into that specifically for this video, but just know that that's important. And then of course, the mindset work and nervous system support also matter, because stress suppresses your immune system and increases your cortisol. When your cortisol is increased, it causes inflammation, which we all know these things. Suppress immunity, inflammation, that's all going to make everything worse. And so nervous system regulation is really, really important. Meditation, going on walks, learning how to regulate your nervous system, because otherwise you're going to stay stuck in a cycle of recurring vaginal infections and any other chronic health condition, because stress also depletes your minerals. We also know there is a mind-body vagina connection. I have 2 videos in my vaginal healing education series, one on the mind-body vagina connection, one on the connection between your nervous system being dysregulated and reoccurring vaginal infections. So I would go ahead and watch those 2 videos as well, because your mindset plays a really big role, because our subconscious mind has something called the reticular activating system, and its job is to perform confirmation bias, meaning its job is to confirm all your thoughts and beliefs to be true. So if you believe that you have been anemic all your life, and that you're going to continue to be anemic all your life, and that you're going to continue having recurring vaginal infections because nothing works for you, and you hate your vagina, and your vagina is always malfunctioning, and your pH is always out of whack, and you always get reoccurring vaginal infections before and after your period or after sex, whatever you believe about your vagina is what's going to continue manifesting in your reality. So mindset is really, 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 really important. I would go ahead and watch that video. If you have any negative thoughts around your vagina, about your health, about yourself, about recurring vaginal infections, I would go ahead and watch that video. If you deal with any stress in your life, whether that's financial, relationship stress, life stress, just any stress at all, it doesn't matter. You're depleting your own minerals, and I would go ahead and watch that vaginal nervous system regulation video that I have. When it comes to asking for what labs to test for from your doctor, you're going to want to get your ferritin levels checked, your serum iron, your TIBC, your transferrin saturation, your hemoglobin, your hematocrit, your MCV, your MCH, your CRP, which is it's a lab marker that tests for inflammation. And basically you can ask for a CBC, which is a complete blood, complete blood count lab test, which you usually get done anyways if you get like general lab work. So ask for a CBC and to also include a CRP with it. Okay, so why all of this matters for vaginal healing specifically is because iron basically helps the body to be oxygenated, right? So oxygenation helps with tissue healing. If you're lacking iron, your vaginal tissue cannot heal, and then you may experience vaginal dryness, vaginal tears after sex or from shaving, and you're at increased risk for vaginal infections. Iron also helps with immune strength, which helps to fight biofilms. If you are consistently dealing with recurring vaginal infections that are not going away, you might likely have a biofilm, which is basically a sticky layer around the vaginal infection that prevents it from being killed off by antibiotics and other things. And so if your immune system is suppressed, there's nothing to fight off and remove that biofilm. So this is going to lead to overgrowth and the continuation of you dealing with recurring vaginal infections, because the biofilm is protecting these infections and allowing them to multiply and continue living. And it's just going to continue causing your recurring vaginal infections. Iron also helps with proper estrogen metabolism. And so if you have low iron, you're at estrogen metabolism also, if it's proper, it helps with a lower risk of infection triggering imbalance. So with low iron, your estrogen is not metabolizing properly, and that's going to put you at an increased risk for vaginal infections. So to basically conclude everything in this video, definitely get your labs checked and track your symptoms. So number one, if you are already iron deficient, start consuming more iron-rich foods. Start consuming your iron supplement as recommended by your doctor, and start taking better care and being more aware of what you're eating around your period symptoms and things like that. I'm trying to think what else to tell you guys. And then if you think you are iron deficient anemic, then go to the doctor and get checked, because you don't want to just take iron without knowing, because iron is one of those minerals that you cannot play with. You cannot just take it without being anemic, because it can cause more harm. It can cause iron overload, which is actually very toxic and can be deadly as well. And iron overload also has the same symptoms as iron deficiency anemia. So get your labs checked. Always test, don't guess, and make sure that you're doing the right thing so that you can actually heal your body correctly. And that's it. So I would continue to stay on top of my iron education series, share these videos with friends and family who deal with iron deficiency anemia or recurring vaginal infections. And if you want to learn more about recurring vaginal infections, go to my other playlist. And I would say, yeah, that is pretty much it. So the next video, I'm not sure which connection I'll do yet, but I'm likely posting it tomorrow or sometime this week. But otherwise, I intend that this helped you guys tremendously. And comment your questions down below, and follow me on TikTok for more information about recurring vaginal infections. And also on Threads, I post every single day a lot of different facts about women's health and vaginal health and iron deficiency anemia and all those things. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Lastly, if you want to learn how to heal your vaginal infections naturally using nutrition, nervous system regulation, and subconscious reprogramming, I do have a 30-day vaginal reset ebook that goes over everything you need to know about how to heal your vagina, from nutrition to mindset work to nervous system regulation to also esoteric and spiritual teachings about how time is an illusion and quantum leaping and parallel realities and all those things. So if you're into that, you want to heal your vagina with that knowledge, that is also down below. And I also do have another 30-day healing book for healing your urinary tract if you deal with UTIs, embedded UTIs, or interstitial cystitis. So yeah, that's it. Stay tuned for the next video. Bye, everyone.